the most defining characteristics of successful people is that they actually choose to be paid based on their results rather than their time. They aren't paid for their activity. They aren't paid for their time. They aren't paid for their effort. They aren't paid for their competency, capacity, or even ability. They simply and clearly are paid for their results. Efficiency is doing things right, but effectiveness is doing the right things. This catchphrase is common, and it's one of the first and is still one of the most frequent things we ever hear about time management. Since I read it repeatedly in books and listened to this phrase in TED Talks so many times, I thought, like every other person, efficient and effective are the two keys to be successful. Words like effective and efficient are constantly used at school as well. For functioning in a proper manner and to accomplish their tasks, students have to understand some concepts well. The first goal is to be effective. For a student, it is important to submit the work by the designated time, since that is their basic responsibility. To be able to complete this task makes them effective. Their primary goal gets fulfilled by this. Efficiency is more like an added advantage that can help them step up the ladder of accomplishment in the classroom. Efficiency is important, but effectiveness is the primary, most fundamental goal. Now, do performers really agree with it? Rory Vaden talks about multipliers in his book, Procrastinate on Purpose. And he says, the key distinction is that a multiplier's success isn't so much about efficiency or effectiveness. It's about efficacy. This philosophy opened my eyes to a new perspective which I have never heard of before. Admittedly, there is some discrepancy about how closely related all three of these words are: efficiency, effectiveness, and efficacy, and if there is a significant enough difference between them to make a clear distinction. Now, efficiency is defined as performing or functioning in the best possible manner with the least waste of time and effort. It seems like efficiency is very worthwhile. The more fascinating discussion, though, is around the topic of effectiveness. Effectiveness, actual dictionary definition, is given as competent and able to perform well, having a proven capacity, advocate to accomplish a purpose, productive of or capable of producing a result. Efficacy is defined as the quality of being successful in producing an intended result. What is significant is that to a multiplier, it isn't enough to be competent and able to perform well, or to be capable of achieving a result. It only matters that we actually create the results we intended. To them, it's not necessarily about doing things right, and it's not completely about doing the right things. Truly, it's not about getting things done at all. To a multiplier, it is ultimately only about producing their desired results. Too many times we have a focus on all that we did instead of all that resulted from what we did. Too many times we convince ourselves that if we're doing something, then we're working. Too many times we soothe ourselves with a false sense of satisfaction from all the thought and time we put into something when it didn't produce any significant result. Efficiency is doing things right. Effectiveness is doing the right things. Efficacy is simply about producing results. So So it's not about quantity of time or even quality of activity. It's simply about what produces the maximum result, and that word is efficacy.